Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. Are very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. And welcome to Saturday's edition of the Doctor Who Daily. If you're feeling charitable, please smash that subscribe button and the like button and follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Did we all enjoy the fish custard tweet along? Thank you, Emily Rosina. You are an absolute legend. And don't forget, Emily is running a charity right now as well to try and raise some money for people struggling right now in the entertainment industry. We had Matt Smith, we had Karen Gillan, we had Arthur Darvill, and we had the legend that is Stephen Moffat tweeting along. We had the guy who was in charge of designing the outfits for Doctor Who as well. It was all very informative and an awesome thing. We had an extra scene constructed by Stephen Moffat. It's pretty much young Amelia who was actually writing in her diary about all the adventures she wanted to have with the Doctor. It was all absolutely fantastic. And don't forget, a week today, it's going to be 8 p.m. UK time, we will be tweeting along with Neil Gaiman as we watch his episode of Doctor Who, which was called The Doctor's Wife. An amazing episode, an amazing performance from Saran Jones and Matt Smith, of course. A brilliant episode, and looking forward to that, just that Stephen Moffat was able to get Neil Gaiman, who is a legend, right? You know, a fictional legend. He's created so many great characters. To write for Doctor Who was an amazing thing. So that's Doctor Who, but I want to talk about Torchwood, and I want to talk about John Barrowman's idea to bring back the original Torchwood characters. Right, so this is an article I'm going to read for you from the Radio Times. John Barrowman has a time-travelling Torchwood sequel idea to bring back all the characters. Though really the cast would just be happy to bring back the Doctor Who spin-off in any form. Fans of Torchwood have campaigned for years to get the Doctor Who spin-off back on TV. But there's always been one problem, given how many of the major characters died, including Bern Gorman's Owen, Naoko Mori's Tosh, and Gareth David Lloyd's Yanto in the later series. Would it feel the same without them involved? Look, if you've got imagination, you can create new great characters. Look, I'm going to talk about my feelings about them being killed off, in a minute after I've read this article, but I have some very, very direct opinions about that. Now, though series lead John Barrowman, who plays immortal Captain Jack Harkness, has a solution. Time travel. Anyone got a spare TARDIS going? That's the one thing that we could do with Torchwood. You're never restricted to always what happens in the present or the future. You can go back, Barrowman told RadioTimes.com. What we'd love to do is something that is an episode that goes back. So we have everybody from the original series, but also because I know how drama works, and we also know there has to be a change. It'd be good if we could smash up a new team. We travel back in time to be with the old team to solve the problem that is happening in the future with the new team. Yeah, and we're like consultants, added Naoko Mori, Tosh, the IT consultant, so they can create a new Torchwood team with Jack and everybody that is there. But he goes back to be with the old team because he needs answers there. Barrowman continued. That would work, now that I've thought about it. Generally speaking, though, both Barrowman and Mori said that they'd be happy with any storyline that could bring back Torchwood back to TV, adding they would put their faith in the writers. I'm happy if it's being made, Barrowman said. I'm sure Naoko agrees with this. As long as the writers are top-notch and they know what they're doing, we're puppets. We'll go for it. Everyone knows our characters now. Even the fans, our fan family, almost know our characters better than we do, added Mori. I wouldn't say I want any specific thing. I'd just be happy if it was made again, Barrowman concluded. Yep, brilliant stuff there. Right, it's a great idea. Barrowman's been kind of chiseling out ideas with his sister, who is an author, for years now. He's been campaigning to bring back Torchwood, but the BBC won't do it. But I don't think the BBC have been the problem. I think it's been Russell T Davies. He's been very resistant since Miracle Day tanked, and a lot of fans were very vocal, and he felt hurt by that criticism. So he kind of said, no more, we're not doing it. If that's the way you feel, we're not doing it. Very disappointing. I didn't agree with RTD's attitude with all of that. Look, Russell T Davies is a creative god to me. I love the guy. He's an amazing guy. You can listen to him talk about anything. He's a genius. What he did with Doctor Who and Torchwood and Sarah Jane was amazing. He created a franchise. But one thing I would say, killing off those supporting characters was the most dumbest decision he's ever made for an intelligent man. He chiseled out and fleshed out these wonderful kind of supporting characters in the Torchwood universe, along with Captain Jack, and then he killed them off. And then when he comes back with Miracle Day, we had these new characters which weren't particularly interesting, because when you've got such iconic characters, you've got to make your new characters as iconic. So obviously, John Barrowman's been talking about a new Torchwood team, which I'm very supportive of. But as he says, the writers have to be good and they have to be able to do it. I do like this idea of going back in time for an episode with the new team, meeting the new team. That would be really good, but I would go beyond that. Surely there's a way, if you've got an imagination, just to bring back that original team. But I don't think they're going to go that way. I think this standalone episode where they go back and meet the other characters would be really good. I would be really supportive of that. But my opinion is they should never have got rid of them. They should never have killed these characters off. Yeah, it was great the way they kind of died heroically individually. But and I mean, when Yanto died, that was a really emotional moment. But at the end of the day, you don't kill off these characters. I'm sorry. You don't. I mean, Gwen's still there, and that's great. I mean, Gwen was Russell T Davies' baby. He loved Gwen. Gwen was the companion, I suppose, the person whose eyes we saw all of this from in the pilot episode of Torchwood. He was never going to get rid of her. But at the end of the day, he created and developed some wonderful characters along with Chris Chibnall, by the way, along with the people who ran Torchwood, as well as RTD. But at the end of the day, right, you don't kill off these characters. It was a dumb move, and really Torchwood paid the consequences for that, especially in Miracle Day, where they tried to give us these new characters. They were good actors. I suppose in any other show those characters would have worked. They simply weren't as good and as fleshed out and as interesting as the original characters they created. And that was always my problem. I think that Torchwood will return. I think it will happen. I think we're getting really, really close to that. But definitely I want to see this cast again, and I want to see these wonderful characters again. But I want to know what you think as usual. Comment down below. Do you think Russell T Davies and the Torchwood producers and writers were right to kill off these original characters? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? How did you feel the fish custard 11th hour watch along went? I think the episode, I will say this actually, I enjoyed watching the episode, rewatching the 11th hour more than I did originally. And that's because I was in this RTD zone. I still hadn't got over his era and how he did it. And that first episode showed how different Moffat was going to do things. But I will say, rewatching it made me appreciate what Stephen Moffat did, the imagination, the fairy tale. Karen Gillan's young cousin as a young Amelia was a brilliant performance. And I'll ask you something else that I want you to get involved with in the comments down below. Do you think, actually, it would have been better if the Doctor had travelled with Amelia instead of Amy? That's an interesting question. I think I would have preferred that, but then we wouldn't have had Karen Gillan and maybe no Arthur Darvill. Arthur Darvill was great. Arthur Darvill's gone on to do really well. Legends of Tomorrow, Captain Rip Hunter, he was amazing in that too. So I want to know all about that as well. So comment down below, like, share and subscribe. I will be back tomorrow with even more Doctor Who Daily. Stay at home, stay safe, stay indoors. You get bored, just binge all my videos. It's fun.